Sandra all the time is here with a cold heart through. She's the ears and the eyes for me and you. Every day, everyone want to hear from Sandra. And every time on the air, she's getting better. Tell your sister, tell your brother, tell your mama, call Sandra in the morning and in the evening. They always calling Sandra. And when they start fighting, they calling Sandra. And
That's right, folks. Everyone is telling their mama about the cold hard truth. Welcome to another episode with more truth telling, more problem solving, and of course, more tea spilling than ever before. Sit back, students, grab your tea and turn up the volume because class is now in session. Call in at 936-2626 because your voice matters. Share your opinion on issues that matter the most to you. All right, folks. Good morning. How's everybody doing? Hope you guys are well. We're having a bit of a short segment this morning. So first of all, thank you guys so much for joining us. I see your IG numbers are strong. Big shout out to Instagram, over 900 people, over 90 people, just a few seconds ago. I am using my laptop. I am traveling, hence the very posh virtual background. So just wanted to touch bases with everyone. Obviously, there's quite a bit going on. The news never stops. You know, I always say, listen, one thing about news is it never sleeps and it never stops, no matter what you're doing. So I'm currently off island, but obviously keeping a very, very close watch on exactly what's happening in our community as we're potentially preparing for Hurricane Beryl to barrel down our way. So we're going to be talking about that here in a second. Before we get to that, let's just do a couple little housekeeping things. So obviously, happy Constitution Day. Today is Monday in the Cayman Islands. As you guys are well aware, because of the pending storm, there are a number of businesses who traditionally would not be open that are open. So we'll go through that list here in just a second. In addition to that, we have the unfortunate news this morning about a road fatality. So, of course, I was, really a bit upset to hear this morning that we had two more, not one, but two dual fatality on Shamrock Road once again, almost in this, Coral Bay, that same vicinity as the last fatality involving 3 people. We don't really have a whole lot of details. CMR does have a little bit more exclusivity on this one, probably than most people. As you guys know, our sources are amazing. So thank you always to our sources who come forward and provide us with, such amazing information. But we do know that both individuals were from Nicaragua, male and female. We're not going to really provide any names at this particular time, but, one person worked in the hospitality industry and the other one worked in construction. So knowing that these communities are very, very, tight communities in a way, it's so incredibly sad. The female, it's a male and female, we know has actually been in Cayman for quite some time, so much so that she was rolled over and then came back. We extend our condolences to their families. It's obviously going to be a very trying time for them. And all I can say on this note, folks, is you gotta slow down. Like, these roads don't, I've never seen a car in a hospital. I don't know about you guys, but cars, are made of metal and they will go and they will come. But your life, you've only got one life to live. So it's one of those things that you've got to value it and just really take your time out there. on the roadways would be the best advice that I could possibly give. So we want to extend our condolences to the family members of those two individuals. All right, so let's get to talking about Hurricane Beryl, still out there posing somewhat of a threat to the Cayman Islands. So we do have Minister Kenneth Bryan, who's going to be joining the show here in a second. He's going to be giving us a little bit of an update on what's happening within his constituency. And obviously the government already having some emergency meetings ahead of the storm, knowing full well that the storm looks like it's going to be, something quite serious for us to still pay attention, even if it's not a category 4. So we're going to get some headlines. Good morning, Minister. How are you? We're going to just check some headlines this morning in terms of exactly where the storm is and what the storm is doing in real time.
Good morning, Sam, to your listening audience.
Yeah, morning. How are you?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I'm not too bad. Before I get started, I want to say my sympathies go out to the family, the young lady who passed this morning. I know we're not saying names or anything like that, but I just want to, just in case somebody is listening, my sympathies out to them. Happy Constitutional Day as well. Topic of today is obviously the Hurricane Beryl. And I'm glad you are still, even though you are away, still discussing this very important issue. I think, I guess it's most important for me to give you an update on where things are at as of last night when we met with the Met team. And there's some level of good news, but no reason for us to not stop getting prepared. But
Yes.
As of last night, the projections are that it will be passing south of Cayman, 81 miles south of Cayman, with a about 100 miles an hour, basically like a Cat 1, Cat 2. But with it being 81 miles away from us, we're only expecting to get 40 to 50 miles per hour winds on the outer ridges of the storm. Now, granted, I want us to be very mindful. I am not a meteorologist. I'm only referring back to the information that was given to us. And you got to keep up to date with the hazard management channels and information, particularly those in Georgetown Central. I've been sending out messages, and I know you're going to continue to do the same. And if it continues on the path that it's going, we could be reasonably lucky, in my humble opinion, that we won't have too severe of a direct hit. But anything can change. We're still a solid 48 hours away from any effects of the storm, so some things can change. So whatever you're doing today, continue to do so. Continue to prepare yourself. So let's talk about what to expect by way of rain. One of the things that was important to me is that obviously flooding with any kind of weather like this, it would be a concern for people. Yesterday, I was doing sandbags out at the location by Linford Pearson Highway, where the new roundabout is. NRA with the Minister J ensured that for the Georgetown area, that particularly the central part of Georgetown area with Georgetown West, South, East, and Central, that there was enough sand out there for persons to bag up their sandbags. We did over 500 yesterday for people to collect, and there's still requests today for more sandbags. And I just actually procured some more, so I'm trying to get some more out today. But more importantly, the Ale Thompson is open, and sandbags are there. They're really cheap. I think they're like 65 cents a piece. I just bought some, so I can't even remember what the price is. But you can go there and load up sand yourselves. But the good news is, as per the rain, was 2 to 4 inches projections, 2 to 4 inches worth of rain. And people, if you compare that to what we got the other day, it's not even half that. And that's good news. But the bad news is that the earth is already so saturated. It's prone for trees to be blown down, because with the earth already so wet, the root system can't hold on very tight to the earth. So they always say to watch out for trees falling with winds coming in with the earth already predominantly wet. So though we may not have as much rain, and this is not a reason for you not to protect yourself or get your sandbags or prepare for any flooding, but but the rain doesn't seem to be. I'm just trying to measure people's expectations, but at the same time having you prepared. So it doesn't look like we're going to have as severe amount of rain, and that's good news because it's less concerning from a flooding perspective, which is a big deal, and hence the reason we started doing the sandbagging from yesterday. But if you have flooding concerns, I would still suggest you take the time. Today is a holiday, and you have tomorrow and even the first part of Wednesday to go ahead and get sandbags. Government is going to be placing sand piles all across the island, from West Bay to West Bay Road, to Georgetown, Prospect, Bordentown, Northside, Eastern, and even in Kimmerbrook. So I'm waiting on the minister to go ahead and get the graphics ready for that to be sent out so people can know. A.L. Thompson is fully booked, fully packed right now. I know loads of people are down there. So and sandbags are not only sold there. I'm not certain if Kirk Home Center is open today. But I think sometimes even places like Price Right and Cost You Less may sell sandbags as well.
Let me try to give as many updates as possible in terms of who is open. So pretty much all of the local stores have followed suit with each other. Foster's, all the grocery stores have extended hours today. So this is the current position, folks, at A.L. Thompson's. We did reach out to them yesterday, and a lot of you were inquiring if they would be open. Obviously, their concern is also for their staff. So they have to balance opening hours with what staff they have to prepare as well, right? They've got family members and they have a large contingent of employees. So they have opened today from 8 until 1 o'clock to still try to give their staff a little bit of time to prepare ahead of the storm. So we know that pretty much all the lines, anywhere that you're going today, all the lines are going to be extremely long. We encourage people to obviously take advice and prepare well in advance of these storms so that it's less likely that you're going to have to find yourself in a situation like this at the last minute. Listen, we had a show on the 31st of last month. Give me 1 second. We're actually going to pull in a live cam feed of exactly what's going on with the storm here in a second. But, we had quite some time ago on the 31st of last month, the weather and hazmat people on. I think we had Mr. Simon Boxall and we had Mr. Carey from the Weather Service, and they were all saying this is predicted to be a unusually strong hurricane season, more hurricanes predicted, and also stronger hurricanes predicted as well. So the advice to everyone is you need to prepare well in advance. There's absolutely no reason why we should be seeing the kind of lines that we see today if everyone had been, taking the good advice of the meteorologists and all of the experts. 83% chance this year that we will get a major storm. So here's the situation at Cost You Less this morning as well. Lines wrapped around the building. And of course, we'll continue to see all of the grocery stores, I'm sure, are packed today. Everybody's stocking up on the usual supplies, water. I don't know what the rush on toilet paper is, but you guys always got to stock up on toilet paper. So a little bit of a chuckle there in terms of that. But prepare in advance. Have your hurricane kits. We're going to go through a little bit here of what you need to have on hand. Don't find yourself in this position constantly with every single hurricane, because these things are, you put your stash away. It's good for the entire season. So there's no reason to rush out right now and grab toilet paper. You should have your hurricane supply section that doesn't get touched, separate from your regular supplies. And then when a pending storm is coming, you're going to be just fine. So we have some updates, the position as of 7 o'clock this morning. As you can see, it looks like it's going a little bit more south of us, which is good news. Maximum sustained winds of 130 miles per hour. One of the craziest things, Minister, about the storm is how quickly it developed into a major hurricane. Like it went from from not even a hurricane up to Cat 4 within like a 30-hour window, which is absolutely unheard of. So this storm has already broken a lot of records. And I think it's also mentally preparing us for what we could probably expect for the rest of the hurricane season. So Hurricane Beryl is the strongest Atlantic hurricane recorded in the month of June. We've never, ever on recorded history had a hurricane that's a category 4 in the month of June. And like I said, this rapid intensification, and under 24 hours, it went from 65 miles per hour tropical storm to 130 miles per hour category 4 storm. Again, that alone is so incredibly unusual. So it's expected to bring life-threatening winds and surge to the Windward Islands today. And the early timing of this season's first hurricane is, again, unusual, given the average date for the first hurricane being August the 11th. So imagine, more than 2 months out from the average time that we would see. We'd see tropical storms rolling off the coast of Africa, but for it to develop into a hurricane, normally August, September, and September being the peak months, right? So there's only been 2 category 3 hurricanes that have ever been recorded in the Atlantic in June. One was Hurricane Audrey in 1957 and Hurricane Alma in 1966. So as you can imagine, Minister, a lot of us were definitely not around at that time. So Beryl is considered a very dangerous and rare hurricane for this time of the year. All the meteorologists are watching this with keen interest. One guy associated with the Associated Press says unusual is an understatement. Beryl is already a historic hurricane and it hasn't struck anything yet. So yesterday morning and into last night, it was off the east-southeast coast of Barbados, heading west. And of course, the people of Barbados were, issuing alerts some days ago and watching it very, very carefully. So in terms of Cayman, there's some movement, but we're still a little bit early because I think projected the closest range that will get to us is sometime on Thursday. So within the next 36 to 24 hours is when we really need to pay keen attention to what is going to happen with the storm, because it could still very much move. So lots of preparations underway at the moment. The storm is actually making landfall in Grenada. There is a live cam that we'll show you guys here in just a second in terms of what the storm is doing. But, Minister, there's a lot of people who need to be preparing at this time. And hopefully, you can just give them some words of encouragement before you have to leave.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Sandra. The key thing, what you said there, is the changing of the weather patterns so quickly. It tells us that it's not as predictable as it used to be. That means that we have to be even more prepared than normal. You said a mouthful when you said there should be no reason for us to be packing up the hardware stores and supermarkets today. We're supposed to have been doing this from ages ago. But the good news is the Lord has blessed us with some projections for it to be more further south without as severe as we were concerned about 2 days ago. And hopefully that continues. But take advantage. It is a holiday. Go ahead and start getting those things sorted, because what we do know is there's another storm right behind it called Chris. And there's no exact projections for that yet. Everybody's focusing on Beryl at this particular point. So go ahead and get yourself prepared all the same. So we have a very long hurricane season to go from June 1st to November 1st. It's a long time. So better off we have ourselves protected from now. One of the key things that I want to get out there is working together. Yesterday, I was reminded of our humanity. We were at the sand pit, and people were coming to get their sandbags filled up. Black, white, rich, poor, foreign, Caymanian status holders, and I love the fact that people were helping each other. Somebody only needed 5 bags. They came, they filled up their 5 bags, and they jumped in to help somebody else. Or when there were seniors coming, people were jumping on to help them, or women, or what have you. It was really good to see that, and I expect us to continue that kind of attitude, because only together can we be prepared and protect each other from these types of events. So I encourage you to look up, if you're finished and you're prepared already, what can you do for your next door neighbor? There's a lot of people who may need help, boarding up their windows, that don't have the physical help. People who are in construction, once you obviously dealt with yourself and put your mask on, as they say in the plane, can you go ahead and help somebody else? Because once we're all together on this, then we can get through it easier. The more prepared we are, the less effects and the less post cleanup and stuff we have to do. For those out there who are considering work, I'm certain that we're going to have to do some sort of cleanup exercise afterwards if we get any level of winds above 40 knots. So one of the things as Minister of Tourism is keeping the island clean, because every second that the country is not in a good state for presentation is millions of dollars of negative perception to leave our guests with, which is concerning. So I want to make sure that I'm working closely with the minister for the next program, if in fact the severity of fallen trees, debris, and so forth, we get the country cleaned up right afterwards. In respect to my areas of responsibility with the Ministry of Tourism, we will have some further updates later this afternoon in respect to potential evacuation plans, which I hope that as the day passes and our projections are updated, we won't have to have so many people trying to evacuate. But obviously, Cayman Airways, I spoke to the chairman yesterday about having what contingency plans we're going to have, whether the planes are going to be off island in Florida, hosting them there until the weather passes, and what additional flights we'll be doing and so forth. So I'll be sending out more information from a Cayman Airways perspective, and also working closely with the hotels and so forth about visitors leaving the island if they feel necessary. Most of the hotels are hurricane related, hurricane graded, so they can stay there if they want to. Might be an experience for them to embrace, particularly with it being projected to be in the lesser of winds. I wouldn't want them here in a severe hurricane because obviously if there's a severe hit, people want to go to the shelters and so forth, but the hotels are justifiably strong enough for them to stay in. So I'll have more information out hopefully by midday or just after. We still got a little bit of time, but particularly for flights out for persons who don't want to be on island, if it intensifies, we'll be able to give a better understanding from a scheduling perspective with our national airline and for evacuation for visitors and guests. I'll also have some more information out as per the port. The good news is that we are well stocked up in respect to food and supplies, as well as for fuel. Fuel is a key factor, and that's one thing I want to remind people of is that if you're in a financial position to do so, fill up as much fuel as you can in your cars and your vehicles and so forth, so that people can make sure that it, God forbid, power goes out or something like that, or we have issues that you don't have to be worried about going to get fuel. So, morning, Mama. I just on the one. So, give me 2 seconds. Yeah. So, in respect to my area's port, Cayman Airways, CIA has already started their plans for any potential for severe emergency to be ready to execute. So the areas of my portfolio are already ready to go, and the chairmans have been debriefed and taking on all that they have to do. But for now, just go ahead and do what you normally do, whether you're in a flood zone, get your sandbags. If you have don't have shutters, get your windows battened up. Just to wrap it up, the projections are now for it to go south of us. The latest I got from last night, speaking to the meteorologist here and hazard management, this is going to be about 80 miles south of us, which means that we are probably going to get 40 to 50 knot winds unless something changes in the next 48 hours. That's the projections. But that's still severe winds, particularly because the earth is already saturated. Trees could be falling quite easily. So we got to be mindful for that. If you're in a flood zone area, try to get your vehicles up to higher water. You don't want to damage. That's a major asset, costs a lot of money, as well as get your sandbags prepared if you need to. But the good news is the rain is not expected to be as terrible as it was 3.5 weeks ago. I think that covers everything. I'd be happy to come back on at a later time if there's any major updates and changes. But go ahead and get yourself prepared. And thank you for allowing me to come on.
Thanks very much, Minister. Appreciate it.
Okay, take care. Bye.
All right, folks. So good morning to everyone. Again, we're just going to do a short show today. You know, normally on holiday Mondays, we don't have a show, but obviously this is a bit of a different situation today with a pending storm, Hurricane Beryl, coming our way. So good morning to Ms. Morna, Irvlin, talking about how crazy A.L. Thompson's is. Well, it's all of the stories this morning, which again, I find a bit surprised that, I see people and, you know, this might come across as judgmental, but you guys have got to take the warning seriously. If you go back to that show from May, was it the 31st? And we're now July the 1st. It was a month ago. We did a show, and all the predictions are that this is going to be quite some 83% that we're going to have multiple, major category hurricanes. So we need to get prepared. This last minute stuff we've got to get away from. I see people commenting about, oh, well, they don't have any money this week. Somebody said, oh, they don't get paid till Friday. Folks, you got to get it together. I mean, listen, everybody has tight budgets, but I saw y'all out this weekend partying it up, buying, finding money for costumes and hair and nails and all this kind of stuff. You guys have been hitting, the lunch brunches on Sundays. You're doing the most. And I ain't got no issues with that. Do the most, folks. That's you. Live your life. But don't do it at your own peril. Don't do it so that when a hurricane comes, you have no money and you're all over social media talking about, oh, well, you can't afford to pay your electricity bill and to get hurricane supplies. Yes, you can. You can afford to do it if you had been planning accordingly. The ones who can't afford to do it, 99% of you, it's not really a matter of you can't afford to do it. It's a matter of you prioritizing all of the wrong things at the wrong time. How many of you really needed to go to Carnival this weekend as opposed to making sure that your hurricane basket was sufficiently supplied? These are things that last from one year to the next. So God knows if we didn't have a storm last year, you're certainly in a position to keep all these non-perishable goods for a couple of years. They don't expire. Listen, they're full of so many preservatives. They're not going to expire anytime soon. So even the liquor store sent out notifications that they have extended hours today. I don't even want to tell you all that because the money that you should be spending, bring me my water, please. The money that you should be spending on, hurricane supplies and sandbags, now y'all about to go run to the liquor store. And buy God knows what at the liquor store. You got to prioritize, folks. Food is a priority. Safe shelter is a priority. Those of you who are in low-lying areas, you should know that the shelters are obviously making preparations to open. Big shout out to Kim and Airways. They were scheduling evacuation flights today. They're supposed to put up the schedule. We're still waiting on that, I think, to happen this morning, but we should be hearing something in terms of evacuation flights this morning as well. So these are some of the things that we all got to prepare and we all got to do, right? Let me just see if we can get some of the latest updates in terms of exactly what the storm is doing. And give me one quick second here. I'm going to just see if I can bring this feed in. I am on my laptop, so it's a little bit more challenging to do some things as opposed to what I would normally be able to do. So just give me 1 second here. And then I'm going to get you guys some video footage here. So yeah, so all eyes are obviously on this storm. It doesn't present any immediate risk to the US, for example, at this time, but they're still watching it primarily because, this is so unusual. I mean, it's just shocking that this storm has developed in the way in which it has. And again, that's an indicator of what is coming down the pipeline. So please, I'm begging each and every one of you to not take this hurricane season lightly. I see people claiming that they're going to be, somebody said some foolishness about, they're going to go to another island and they're going to go here, Honduras, Jamaica. None of that makes any sense. Your best bet is to stay put and secure your home right in Grand Cayman. Spend your energy and resources there. The problem from a lot of times trying to run from these storms is honestly, you don't know where the storm is going next. So you're trying to run from something that is going to be incredibly unpredictable. What sense does that make? That makes zero sense. A lot of times you're running from it and end up running right into it. That you're unfamiliar with. You don't have the support of family a lot of times if you go overseas. So that doesn't make any sense. You know, somebody said to me, well, Sandy, you're overseas. Why bother coming back? Why don't you just stay where you are? And I'm thinking to myself, why on earth would I do that? I'm not going to stay in the States. This isn't my country, folks. I'm not about that life. I am coming right back to Grand Cayman as soon as I possibly can. So, you know, you got to make choices. You've got to have a plan of action and obviously know exactly what it is that you are intending to do. Like you should already write it down, have it formulated in your head. If you need to evacuate, at what point are you going to do that? Can you ride out a category 1, 2 storm? Is it when it's at 3 and 4 and 5 or beyond that you say, okay, I can no longer ride this out? Big shout out to Rohan joining us this morning, asking if it's coming to Cayman and Jamaica. So the latest projections, I'm actually just trying to get some video footage here this morning that I can play for you guys, is that it is moving a little bit south from us, which is a bit of good news. Again, I don't want people to feel overconfident in that prediction, because I do kind of feel like at the end of the day, there is a real possibility that, you know, anything can change within hours of the storm. So you've still got to pay very, very close attention to exactly where it's going and what it's doing. So some indications that yes, let me just see here, that it is going to go a bit south of us. And that's a bit of good news, but again, always take this stuff with a grain of salt is what I would suggest. So just give me 1 second. I'm going to see if I can just bring up this footage here of some discussions about the storm. This is from weather, and this was a little bit earlier this morning as well. So yeah, this storm has everybody shaking their head like, if this is an indication of what we're in for, then I think that yes, we all need to be extremely. All right, just give me 1 second here, folks. I'm just going to pull this in to the feed this morning. Thank you guys so much for your patience.
We got a new advisory that's in, and that new advisory is a significant one because we have now regained Category 4 strength.
Yeah, I'm not shocked by that. No. Craig and I were watching the storm overnight. It was very apparent that it was going under an eye wall replacement cycle. You saw the eye cloud over, thunderstorms kind of forming a new ring around it. And during that process, of course, we kind of lose a little edge, but then ramp back up on the other side. So now we're on the other side of this cycle. We have visible satellite coming up. So what we'll notice over the next couple hours is that the eye will start to clear out yet again, and you get that defined eye that is so indicative of a major hurricane.
And looking at this thing, Marissa, I mean, we have the storm itself with that eye wall replacement cycle happening. There were questions: would this be complete before it reached the Windward Islands? How would this evolve? And sure enough, we're seeing it, and even that pressure dropping just a little bit per the latest advisory.
I mean, at this point, the designation of category was minor in terms of impacts. We already knew the impacts were going to be pretty detrimental in through the Windward Islands. So a small adjustment there, but even then, yeah, to make landfall for many of these islands as a category 4. This is a significant storm. The pressure drop, we're getting also that real-time data as we had hurricane hunters, NOAA, investigating this actively. Yeah, this is a strong storm that's had nothing but all the ingredients it's needed to really strengthen and quickly.
Craig, your thoughts on this, because as we were looking at the storm itself and watching how this was overall evolving, there were concerns that this could reach the status. It has already broken so many records. Marissa had mentioned the strongest Atlantic hurricane on record in the month of June, Beryl becoming the earliest Cat 4 on record for the Atlantic. With an eye wall replacement cycle, Britt alluded to it, this wind field's going to expand some too.
It already has.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, exactly. It has. And you take a look at the wind field cycle at these tropical storm force winds extending 115 miles or so, but it's been fluctuating within that. Being so compact, those stronger winds as it moves over portions of Grenada up and through just south of St. Lucia will be a big concern. And you can see where it is right now. Some of the hurricane force winds extending 30 miles. So it went from 30 miles to 35 earlier, now back to 30 miles per hour. So pretty compact as far as where those stronger winds are from the center of the storm. You can see how just well defined it is by that orange color, not extending real far outside of Grenada, but it's the tropical storm force winds that extend quite a distance. You think about the rain bands as well. In fact, this morning, some of those were making it all the way to the island of Guadeloupe. Here, the elevation is about 4,800 feet with some of the higher terrain. So right in through there, they were dealing with some strong, heavy rains and some strong winds as well. You think about the flooding impacts of this, not only the storm surge and the winds coming through here, but the amount of rain that could be coming through here. This island, it looks like a butterfly, and you can probably heard that before, French Island, Guadeloupe. And take a look at the heaviest rain hitting those elevations at 4,800 feet, causing some localized, potentially some life-threatening flooding as well. That's on the northern fringe, well out of the areas that are warned for tropical storm force winds, or right in through here. They're not even in the warning mix.
Exactly. And that's the thing with, I think, the warnings, breaking them down, Marissa, for where we have the hurricane warnings in effect. It doesn't mean that we're going to see hurricane force conditions, but it's very likely you have to prepare accordingly. Grenada under it. Grenada has had brushes with hurricanes in the past, not quite as strong as what we dealt with, well, since Ivan. And Ivan was a catastrophic hurricane for Grenada.
Yeah, we talked about Ivan. It claimed the lives of several people, and then it continued on into the U.S., making landfall around Louisiana. That's just one example, and that was several years ago. When you talk about the impacts now, a lot of these places, and Britta, I heard you say it this morning, yesterday was the day to prepare. Now is the moment to hunker down. And you have a lot of folks across the islands that have now sheltered in place. They have shelters set up for these very vulnerable communities. As we know, these intense winds are already starting to approach the outer bands. So things have really deteriorated since yesterday and through these overnight early morning hours at this point. And you can see right there, here's our very well-defined eye wall at this point, heading right towards St. George's, one of them, and then up towards the islands. We're going to continue to see these spread out.
Yeah, so right now on a lot of our buoys and also our recording gauges, we're getting bona fide tropical storm force winds. That's just because the storm core isn't quite there just yet. We'll unfortunately get to that point. Interesting to check in on this buoy. So this is really far removed from the storm itself. We're talking 100 miles off to the north and west, but we have 8-foot seas and also wind gusts of 34 miles per hour. We've been watching the cameras in Jamaica this morning, and conditions are pretty rough. Of course, we're hundreds of miles away from the storm, but that's important to note because it's such a big travel week for Americans. A lot of Americans are traveling to the Caribbean islands, and you're going to be dealing with the impacts. And then, of course, our family and friends that live in the area as well. So there's a look at some of the buoy wind gusts. Of course, the strongest winds being located by the storm itself. That gives you a good idea of where that buoy is particularly located, which is far off to the northwest of the storm. But that swell and also the strong winds, they extend far out from the center itself. Once we get past this morning, then we have to have the conversation of where is this going? And this storm is a hard one to nail down because it's small. Small storms are hard to find resolution on, and we tend to have more error in the forecast farther down the line. So we know what's happening today. It's hard. It's really heartbreaking what's going to be happening on some of these island nations today. Once we get into Wednesday, this storm is going to be somewhere in the central Caribbean with a lot of wind shear. How strong is the storm at that point? How much of an impact is the wind shear having? That's going to determine where it lies in this track. Because the weaker it is, the farther south it's going to be. The stronger it is, the farther north it's going to be. And right now, the Gulf of Mexico exit plan is still an option that is possible. Also, the possibility of this moving into Central America and becoming a flood disaster is a real reality as well.
All right, folks. So again, some real indications here that this storm remains unpredictable. We just have to continue to be vigilant and to keep an eye on it. Anything's possible. Anything's game at this point. Talking about how sort of tight and small the storm is, yet incredibly powerful. Leroy's saying that she's taking the same path as Ivan. Well, they all take a similar path, to be clear. I wouldn't say the exact same path, but we're within the cone. And so this is, we're in the hurricane belt. So anything is game. So a lot of people upset this morning who were at the stores. We just received some footage. Have a look at this footage coming in from Cost-U-Less. Saying that basically,
so sorry.
the stores, I mean, cost you less. We saw the line going out the door. Inside is packed. Wow. Seriously, everybody is bumper to bumper with their carts. And then, of course, the sort of criticism here is that unfortunately, the stores themselves are simply not prepared. So this person said, Cost You Less opens at 8 o'clock, line out the door, and they only have 3 tellers open, literally customer service line and 2 others. An employee told me that they're open later today, so I had to bring people in at 9 instead of 8. There's literally 20 people deep in every aisle trying to check out. What a mess. Management literally trying to cut people off instead of opening a line. Well worthy of jackass of the day. So listen, this again is a difficulty. Nobody's ready for these things, I suppose. My apologies. I had to do a quick refresh there. But as much of their discussions about individuals being prepared, we also have to know that companies have to be prepared. I mean, each of these companies should have a hurricane plan. The difficulty is that they have staff, just like, Alti said, listen, Sandy, he said yesterday, of course, we're going to do our best to accommodate our customers. We're here for our customers, but we also need to be mindful of the fact that staff need to get ready. That staff they want to go shopping. They need to prepare. This is why I think we all need to be a little bit more cognizant of having our plans in place long ahead of and long before 2 days from a storm potentially hitting your shores. So I get what you're saying. I understand your concerns and your thoughts. I mean, if I were standing there, I would be frustrated too, no doubt about that. But because they're having unusual and extended hours, yes, the staff were not scheduled to. And it might have even been difficult to find people who were willing to come in this morning. Maybe they're at the store themselves trying to stock up on supplies. So folks, please do your best to try to, just prepare as much as you can, so that you're not waiting last minute on these sorts of things. So poor Johan in the classroom causing trouble as usual, talking about all of our CMR money and donations paying for Auntie Sandy's 5-star resort. Johan is so incredibly silly. For those of you who are in the know and need to remind Johan, this is called a virtual background, Johan. So please get with the technology. We can see that you feel Tech 101, clearly. But you know what? The good news is I'm not balling on vacation, but if I wanted to ball on vacation, that would be perfectly fine, because I'm also not the one who's out there posting on social media that I don't have any money for hurricane supplies. I'm just saying, y'all need to get your ish together. All right. But it does look good, right? It looks pretty real. I mean, obviously it's fooling poor Johan, although I think he needs glasses. It's fooling him, so he thinks I'm in a cushy Airbnb with a piano in the background. Gotta love it. Okay, so somebody mentioned about plywood and that sort of stuff. Folks, do y'all buy plywood for each and every storm? I remember somebody was sending you lucky numbers to buy if you're in Florida. Lotto numbers. Oh my God. No, sir. Anyway, let me just, y'all are cracking me up. Let me just say this much. Poor Mary. She looks stressed out in that picture. Somebody just sent me a picture of her saying that she's managing, walking around, not opening a lane, hot mess, keep me anonymous, laughing out loud. Oh my God. I listen, I feel bad for these people, because y'all don't know the stress of being in retail. I know the stress of being in retail, honey child. And it's not nice. Not nice at all. Anyway, yes, good luck to all the staff that are out there this morning having to deal with irate customers, because there's nothing worse than being in this sort of a stressful situation. And then on top of that, you got customers who don't want to stand in line. I don't know what y'all in line buying. But anywho, Plywood isn't something that you need to buy for every single storm. Those are the types of things that, you know, when I lived in my apartment complex, we bought plywood. I was there for how many years? Oh my God, forever. And we only bought plywood like once. I mean, I don't know what kind of plywood y'all buying, but we bought plywood once. We prepped it with the, like we had the locks on them, and we actually bore holes in our windows because, you know what, we couldn't afford shutters. So we had to do what we had to do. And every time the storm came, we just pushed them in there, click, 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 boom, good to go. The hardest thing was trying to get men to put them up. So let me have a look at the video here to see exactly what y'all got in your carts.
Oh, sorry, so
So
sorry.
water. What else? I don't know what y'all buying. What's that one lady buying? Water. I see a lot of water and paper plates. All of those things are non-perishable. Did anybody else see anything there that you could not have bought previously? I mean, I have paper plates stocked in my house all the time. I have disposable plates, always, disposable cups. The ones that are like, you know, don't kill me for using styrofoam, but I've got the ones that you can do takeaway, because whenever I cook a big meal, I'm like, take a plate. But those are staple items that I try to keep. And, you know, this is one of the things that those of you who might have domestic workers, domestic helpers, I call them house managers because they really do help out quite a bit in your household. I can tell you all that sometimes they're not thinking ahead. So they're using the last can of coconut milk, the last can of sweet milk. I'm like, listen, in my house, because I don't know when I'm going to get up and be like, okay, I'm going to make a cake. I'm going to do this. Always have some staples, like 3-4 cans of milk. Sweet milk, coconut milk, regular condensed milk, always have flour, sugar. Like there's certain things that you just always have to have on hand. Hurricane season, have that separated from all of your other stuff. Let your workers know that that's not to do regular cooking out of. This is the hurricane bin. By the way, big shout out to Conchu Last. I saw they had those bins for like $12.99 or something on sale. That's actually a really, really good price on those. I think I might buy me one more. But, you know, have all your goods separated. So here's somebody buying a container, looks like. That cart looks almost empty. I don't know what those people are buying. They just going in line just to stand up in this stuff and get stressed out. Water, juices, you know. I don't know what y'all buying. Anyway, Myrta, good morning, says construction companies should ensure that their areas are cleared. That's another thing as well. Thank you so much for that reminder. Not only that, but all the cranes that we have all over the island, you know, they need to make sure, because this now is your first warning. It's coming. This one might not hit us, but the next one's coming right after it. So please have things in place. Clean up your construction sites. Have a plan where your workers are going to be able to come. She's saying there's a lot of material laying around, such as scaffolding, etc. These things become projectiles and extremely, extremely dangerous, which is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, y'all need to have a plan to take these things down and tie them down and secure them. Even furniture around your yard. If you have outdoor furniture by the pool or whatever, you got to have a way to secure all of that stuff, because now it becomes a real problem. Good morning. CE Banks says, please, let's all get prepared, praying for the best. Paul says, tell the minister to give the people free storm kits. Free from where? Who's paying for it? Paul, no, nothing in life is free. So again, you know, this over-reliance on somebody else to give you something is a real problem. You guys have got to start budgeting your little money and having it available for times like this. You know, if a storm hits, you might need a little extra $500 after the storm in order to, you know, buy some emergency things or whatever. Set that money aside, folks. You got a whole year in between storms to organize yourselves. There's little reasons why you should not be able to do so. Diamond Princess says, so good. I have items from what I purchased last year, so I don't need to get much from the supermarket. Exactly. And what are y'all going to the supermarket to buy? Because you shouldn't be buying steak and stuff to cook right now, because none of that stuff is going to honestly be hurricane. You know, y'all shouldn't be eating like kings and queens during a hurricane. You have canned goods, the stuff that otherwise, you know, the corn, what's it called? The corned beef and that kind of stuff that normally you wouldn't eat any other time of year. That's hurricane food. Johan begging for extra brownies to ride out the storm. The last thing you need, Johan. Vinicia says it went to cost you less than Saturday. There's a bit of a line up, but wasn't terrible. I'm glad I did it then, looking at the situation now. Yeah, right. I don't know what y'all doing out there. The lighting in your face is far different than the background. Of course, it's fake. Only people like Johan. Now he claims he was joking. He probably believed it. Somebody else did say, where are you? Are you renting an Airbnb? I was like, child, please. This is a standard hotel, honey, chill. Marshall says, are they buying disposable plywood? Once you use them once, you can throw them away. Who does that? That's so wasteful. Child, we use our plywood for years. And again, Garrett says, I always set money aside for emergencies each month. We need to hit some financing courses here. All right, so let's have a look at Grenada, where Hurricane Beryl is now. So give me 1 second. Let me just pull up this live stream feed. So this is pretty scary in a way. But all right. So this is Hurricane Beryl right now hitting Grenada. So this is what it looks like. Let me see if we have any audio associated with this. Just give me a second. So this is Grenada. Looks like they get a lot of wind. Oh gosh, they got a lot of beautiful trees. So this is the sort of an aerial view of the island. So a lot of wind. Obviously, the ocean is out there churning. Doesn't look too bad yet. I mean, I don't see. I mean, yeah, those coconut trees are definitely swaying. Here's another thing too, folks. If you've got fruit trees, particularly coconuts, which are very, very hard, obviously, they become flying projectiles. I mean, that one there in that photo, you can see that one's holding up pretty good. But let's be honest now, most of the time, they're not going to hold up particularly well. So you want to make sure that you have a plan with your gardeners to be able to maintain these things throughout the year. Shake down your coconut trees. Some of y'all just want them to sit there and then be complaining at people trying to steal your coconuts. Well, you either use them or lose them. And the worst way to lose them is, I think they're talking now. Hold on 1 second. The worst way to lose it is obviously.
Okay, so we just want to interrupt just shortly and share further with you that there is an immediate evacuation for Dover, Windward, and Limleh in Carriacou. Again, there is an immediate evacuation order for Dover, Carriacou, Windward, and Limleh in Carriacou. Immediately evacuate your houses and do so in a manner that it doesn't pose any additional danger. All right, but this is coming out from the government, from the Prime Minister's office, that because of extreme sea surges, you are now asked to immediately evacuate. Again, you're asked to immediately evacuate Dover, Windward, and Limleh in Carriacou. You may go to family or seek shelter at the shelters that's located in Carriacou.
Okay, so again, issuing evacuation orders. More or less, a lot of you will know here in the Cayman Islands if you are in low-lying areas or not, and you need to act accordingly. Mind you now, I must say, because of some changes with the flooding and so on, you might not have been in a low-lying area before, but now you are. And I think after the last bit of rain that we had a couple weeks ago, the good thing about that rain is that it probably gave you a bit of an idea of what you are dealing with. So make your necessary preparations. Some of you will have vehicles, for example, that cannot survive, where you live. And so don't, most of us can't afford to lose a car, honey child. So go ahead and make your preparations to actually move your vehicles to higher ground. Yeah. All right, let me just see. I think it's what time is it in Keyman? 9:24. So we're an hour ahead of you guys. So just spoke to Mary over at Cost-U-Less. She said, please, they're doing the best that they can. She says, unfortunately, it's busy everywhere. They easily had at least 10 people outside before they even opened. I'm surprised it wasn't more than 10. So A.L. Thompson's is open, Foster's, Hurley's, Kirk's. Everybody has extended hours for the grocery stores. Some of the other stores that traditionally would not be open, such as A.L. Thompson's, is actually open today. Again, significant lines everywhere. Figure it out, folks. 2 days out of our first hurricane coming relatively close to us. Hopefully it'll keep tracking to the south, but there's no reason why any of you should be panicking at this stage. So let me just see if we can have an additional look here at what else we've got going on for this hurricane. So big shout out to all of the meteorologists who are on top of this. Big shout out to Brian Shields, Mr. Weatherman. We love him. He's got quite a bit going on in terms of following this storm and stuff as well. What I like about Brian is his analysis tends to be very, very detailed analysis. And so the good news is that he includes, he specifically looks at our region in detail. A lot of the US projections are always they're concerned mostly about their interests and they don't get into as much detail as possible. Whereas Brian really does quite the opposite. He's absolutely amazing, I think, with what he tends to do. So let me just see. His latest one was about an hour ago. We can have a quick look at that as well. So, know where your shelters are. Know if you have to make your way to any of those shelters. Have your medication on hand. Have sufficient medication, at least to last you a week should a storm hit and things are out of commission for a minute. Just going to have a look at the National Hurricane Center to see exactly what they have up as well. So have a plan for your pets. Make sure that they are obviously part of your family, that they're taken care of. So trying to find the most recent advisory. Sometimes their advisories are a little bit dated here. They start to pick up again once it's going to impact the US, of course, then they're reporting it all at that point. All right, let me just play his last one from about an hour ago. Give me one quick second here. And then we'll sort of see. I think Barbados might be a little bit out of it this morning, out of harm's way, a little bit more than they were yesterday in any event. Okay, so give me one quick second. We're going to pull up Brian here. Again, thank you guys so much for your patience. And let's see exactly what's going on with this one.
Thank you for joining me. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields, and thank you for subscribing and being part of this weather community. This is why I do it. The comments throughout the day, let us know what's going on where you are or what's not going on. Now, we're thinking of you in St. Vincent, the Grenadines, and our islands of Grenada, as this will take a direct hit. Yesterday, I was talking about in the video, these don't move in a straight line, especially bigger systems. It's not a straight line. They wobble a little bit, and we would see where the wobbles would go. Some of us are going to do better than expected. Some of us, though, worse. And the worst end of this is going to be St. Vincent, the Grenadines, and Grenada. A little wobble to the south. That's helping us out. Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, even Barbados Barbados. Been up all night with you, and we haven't had a whole lot of rain, but the core of this is moving right toward Grenada, St. Vincent the Grenadines, and stronger tropical storm conditions now for Tobago since it took a little wobble to the south. So here it is. This is powerful Hurricane Beryl. I want to get into what it's doing now, what it will do throughout the day, and what it's going to do next as it works its way across the Caribbean, watching Jamaica, eventually Belize and the Yucatan. And all islands matter, whether we have a few people or a little people. I'm watching this for everyone, so I want to go island by island and cover this for you as we move forward. But now, I do want to touch on this too. The Bay of Campeche, here's Mexico. This briefly formed overnight. This was Tropical Storm Chris. We've been tracking this together for about a week. It did spin up. That's going to bring some heavier rain into Mexico. So I'll monitor that as we go throughout the day. I'll get to those rain totals in a moment. But there is powerful Hurricane Beryl. That is going to continue to work into the Caribbean today. Back behind it, this disturbance is not better organized. This is the one that still may try to become a tropical storm on the heels right behind Beryl. I'm not seeing anything too terribly strong. And another strong tropical wave coming off the coast of Africa, which is normal. Now, here's the latest information. There are tropical storm watches up now for, or rather, these are tropical storm watches up for Haiti and the Dominican Republic. The core of it is going to stay to the south of Haiti and the Dominican Republic. We'll see some rain moving in, and this will stay south of Puerto Rico. Again, this will stay south of Puerto Rico, but Jamaica, this will be moving in by the time we get into Wednesday, or at least close to us. I'm hoping the core stays just to the south. So I'll get into Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, Yucatan, and Belize as we move forward. But let me get to what's going on now. This is the immediate concern. St. Vincent the Grenadines, Grenada, these brighter colors, that is the core of this. The core is the middle, around the eye wall. That's where the worst weather is. So Barbados, it's going to be moving away. We've done better. Tobago, though, some tropical storm conditions. This is late morning. And then we have that direct hit late morning through early afternoon, St. Vincent the Grenadines and Grenada. Again, that's where most of this is. If you're not there, I'm thankful for that, but I am thinking of our friends in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and Grenada. This is 5 o'clock, 5 p.m. We're still going to have either hurricane or tropical storm conditions, but then it starts to work away. By the time we hit 8 o'clock, it starts to move away. And you can see the core of the winds, not as much Martinique to the north. I'll go island by island in a moment, but there are the hurricane winds right moving into St. Vincent, the Grenadines now down through. Here's Grenada in our islands of Grenada. And you can see the core of this moves in. Winds 145 kilometers an hour. That's about 90 miles per hour. There will be some higher gusts. There's the core of it staying to the north of Trinidad and Tobago, although we'll have the gusty winds, especially in Tobago today. This is 2 o'clock, hurricane conditions, St. Vincent the Grenadines and Grenada. St. Lucia, we're on the edge of it. We're going to know there's a big system nearby, right? But most of it stays to the south. We will have tropical storm conditions. I'll touch on that in a moment. And then by 8 o'clock on the backside, still gusty winds, but that's when things start to move away and start to work across the Caribbean. So let me get into the bigger picture and what's also going to happen next. So this is later today. You see again, here is Beryl. This is what's left of Chris. Tropical storm, very brief one, bringing some of the rain back toward Mexico. Here's Jamaica, Cayman Islands, Haiti, and the DR. This is tomorrow. As we work our way into tomorrow afternoon, this is 2 o'clock. This is south of Puerto Rico. Some rain may break free and move in, and we'll see some heavier rain try to work into parts of Haiti and the Dominican Republic, but the middle of this system will be to the south. I know some other channels like to make it look like every storm is going to hit everyone, but that is not the case. So I like to also mention where it's not going. Now, as we get toward Wednesday, though, this system starts to work into Jamaica, which we need to take those preparations because sometimes it looks like it's going to be a direct hit of a hurricane. Other times it looks like it would be just to the south, but would still give us tropical storm conditions. So regardless, there's going to be some sort of impacts in Jamaica, and I'm going to spell that out in a moment. And then the Cayman Islands. Now, the Cayman Islands, the center of this, the core of it will be south. But we are going to see some rain breaking free and kind of moving in. So I'm going to be monitoring this for the Cayman Islands. This would be by Thursday. And then you see that second system that's going to work in Wednesday into Thursday in the Eastern Caribbean. That may or may not become a tropical storm, but that will either way increase our rain. This is Thursday afternoon. And you can see here's Belize and here's Mexico. Late term, there's been a little bit more of a shift to the south. That would bring either tropical storm or hurricane conditions to parts of Belize, mainly on the north side, and then up toward Mexico. This is by Friday. And Friday, we'll watch whatever's kind of left of that system back toward the Eastern Caribbean. Now, there's going to be some weakening in here in the Western Caribbean. That's because of the wind shear. We're going to see some wind shear out of the wind shear is good. The thunderstorms with these hurricanes come across. The wind shear comes in the opposite direction and just knocks it across. So I'm hoping for a little more weakening. So let me break down the Northern Caribbean here. Here are the Cayman Islands. Here's Jamaica, Haiti, the Dominican Republic. There are the winds in kilometers per hour and miles per hour to give you both of the scales. This is Tuesday. So Puerto Rico, this is to the south. Haiti and the DR, we're going to get brushed by the tropical storm conditions. I mentioned over toward Jacmel, even Boston Blue, we could see some of the gustier winds moving in, watching out for the rain threat in Haiti and the DR. But there's the center of this, the core of it, the red and yellow shading popping up. Those would be the hurricane conditions. So Jamaica, by Wednesday morning, we'll start to get some tropical storm conditions moving in to our eastern zones. Now, I'm not sure yet. I tell you what I know and what I don't know. There's a lot of variables with the weather, as you well know. I'm not sure if this will be a direct hit or just to the south, but either way, even if the core is just to the south, you see it here, that would keep the hurricane conditions so close by, but just offshore, and that would give us tropical storm conditions on Wednesday. So it's either going to be tropical storm or hurricane conditions. Either way, we're getting something in Jamaica. Then the system will be moving in throughout the day on Wednesday and Wednesday night. And then we'll see tropical storm or hurricane conditions near the Cayman Islands. The worst weather would be just to the south of our big island, but you could see, again, some gustier winds that will be moving in the Cayman Islands. Cayman Islands, yes, gustier winds. We'll see a bit of a surge, higher seas, but I'm cautiously optimistic. This is late on Thursday, but I'm going to be watching for changes. We know this is down the road. There's going to be changes. So we're still, everything I talked about yesterday on track. Haiti and the DR, we're in monitor mode. Yes, some tropical storm conditions are possible. My biggest concern will be flooding with some of the river crossings in Haiti and the DR. As we work our way back toward Jamaica and the Cayman Islands, we are in action mode because of the kind of variability with this, the fact we could get some changes. But Jamaica, I want to stress, we're going to get something either way, either tropical storm conditions or hurricane conditions. So we're taking that action to be safe. And again, thinking of others too that may have not gone through this. So you guys are also kind, helping others through these systems. Cayman Islands, we're taking the preps because we don't have many. If things change, we don't have much time. We're talking about on Wednesday into Thursday where we could get tropical storm or hurricane conditions close by. So we need to be safe. I mean, that just makes sense. The window of time's closing. Yes, that would be great if this stays to the south of the Cayman Islands, but we need to take some of the preps now. Again, that's why we do this together. We've got to make some of those preps. Now, I want to go more to the west here. Here's Mexico. Here's Belize. And this is the Yucatan of Mexico, down through Belize. We're taking those hurricane preps. And I want to mention my friends in some of the islands, there's a lot of islands, but for example, as you get toward Honduras, you get toward Roatan, Providencia, San Andres.
Good question from one of our listeners here about this, saying that, I have neighbors who don't pull down their coconuts. What should I do? The trees are located and it's abandoned land. Well, in Cayman, there's no such thing as abandoned land. I'm pretty sure you know that because everybody thinks their piece of property is worth $1 billion. No such thing as abandoned land, but what you need to find out is who the landowner is. The thing that you should do, Inspiring, is to do that well ahead of time. So we have a property, and I think everybody has. You're lucky if you only have one in your neighborhood, but so many of us have these homeowners who either have half-built homes from 20 years ago that they've never completed. That's in our neighborhood. We got one of those. There's no one actively on the property. And one thing that they have are all of these, there's like 5 or 6 really tall palm trees practically touching the power lines, and the homeowners don't do anything to maintain their property. The way to handle it, Inspiring, is to get a handle of the situation before a hurricane is coming, because 2 days out now, it's going to be very, very challenging for you to have anything done about this. We know who owns the property in the derelict and property in our neighborhood, and we have been in touch with the property owners previously to say, hey, can you please come and have your coconuts taken down, because the trees are so ill kept and they're so long. They're like the long, lanky looking ones that literally they fall in the road all the time. And I keep saying to them, one of these days, I'm not trying to put my goat mad on anybody, but one of these days somebody's going to be driving by and one of those coconuts is going to hit their vehicle, and that is something that could potentially kill someone. I hope that that property owner is prepared to deal with the ramifications of that. You have a responsibility when you own property, even if it's empty property, like just trees or whatever, you're not living on it, you still have a responsibility to keep and maintain your property. And when you don't do that and an accident happens because of your negligent, there will be consequences for that. What you can do, Inspiring, if you don't know who owns the property, you can contact the Department of DEH, Department of Environmental Health. You can actually report it to them and request the property owner, because they will have the details. You give them general information. Normally they can figure out exactly who the property belongs to. Give them some details, and what they can then do is contact the property owner and issue them a notice to please try to clear up the property. And if it's something like coconut trees that's posing an issue, then you can have that done. But the thing, once again, is you got to do it well ahead of the storm. Like, don't wait until the last minute to have that done. So we're still very much in the cone, folks. I think that we all have to just be very cognizant of what the storm is doing and make the necessary preparations. Miss Sue is asking if I'm going to be back. Yes, I am coming back home later on today, in fact. So tomorrow we'll have our regularly scheduled show. So I will be home. And throughout the day, we will be covering the storm. If there's anything break-in that happens, we'll certainly let you guys know. Someone just sent footage of Foster's as well. Same thing with Foster's. Obviously, this is, I think, the Camana Bay location. Very, very busy, as you can imagine. Lines at the door and people lined up around the block, around the building. So, there you go. Yep. So lots of that you can be expected from all of the store locations today. Andy watching from Banaka Island. Good morning, sir. You guys, and even in Rotan and Banaka, may have something to be concerned about as well, Mr. Andy. So I would like to encourage you to please do your best to ensure that you're making the necessary preparations in your area as well. And lots of interest, Cayman interest in the Honduras, Rotan Bay Islands area. We have family and friends that live there. We obviously want them to also be extremely cautious. So there's going to be a next update coming at 10 o'clock. So that's in about 15 minutes Cayman time will be the next tropical update. And so we'll keep you guys updated. Someone says, good morning. The house that exploded in Bayfield Crescent with the hurricane still there the way it was when it exploded. What? They haven't cleaned that up yet? How long ago was that? That's crazy. Oh, so just a correction. Said that we easily had 10 people outside. They meant 100 people outside before they opened up at Cochulas. Wow, I'm surprised that that hasn't happened. Again, y'all need to reach out to DEH because that's a hazard. Why haven't the property owners been made to clean that up? I mean, it can't be insurance because they would have already done their assessment. I thought that they had containers there. Oh, the building roof is almost off. Huh. Okay. Let me, wow. I'm surprised they've not been made to take that down yet. Like the whole thing. What would be the point of, I'm sure that entire structure as a write-off. Like, that's just crazy. All right, let me see what I can find out about that. I'm shocked to hear that that's still an ongoing thing. Wow. Okay. Yeah. That's news to me. I'll see what I can inquire about. But again, folks, come on now. Y'all know we live in such a small community. My God, can you not like do your best to try to be a good neighbor, be a good citizen? You know that, you've got a roof that's compromised, furniture outside. Like, try to clear up and be mindful of your neighbors. Oh my God, so ridiculous. All right, so we'll bring you guys further updates if anything kind of break-ins happens today or tomorrow. Obviously, we will be live. Outside of that, please be safe. Get your supplies in order. Keep them in order. And everyone, good morning again. And thanks for the short notice. I'm still having issues on Facebook. I don't know why I can't stream to the regular Facebook page. So in the interim, as a kind of compromise, I will stream to this Sandra Hill page. That's kind of my backup Facebook page anyway, but I'll stream it and then make it public. And, we'll share that on social media so you guys can find us. We're still on YouTube. All the channels on YouTube are up. We're on Instagram. So obviously, you can be, watching it there. As the storm approaches, you guys know how we do it here in CMR. We have a backup generator as part of my studio. So we're going to ride into the storm together, and we will be there for each other as much as possible, right up until, for me, even if the power goes out, the generator will kick in, and we'll still be giving you guys as much coverage as possible. Remember the simple things, folks. Charge your devices. Get all these things. A lot of you have like these portable chargers. Some of them, by the way, are just absolutely amazing. I got this one. This is my most recent one. I'm going to show you guys this one because this is definitely worth y'all getting a hold of. They come in all kind of different shapes and sizes. Like anytime I travel, I have more than one. So I have this one right now that's charging my phone. This is at 68%. I always make sure that I'm fully charged up before I travel, especially in travel day. But, these are great because on the back, they have all the different, so you've got multiple USB connections here, USB-C, USB-A, and then on the back, you can charge up to 4 different devices. So I've got a regular USB-A connection. I've got iPhone, the standard lightning cable, which now those are being phased out, but still, if you have like an iPhone 12, 13, and 14, right? The 15 is the first one with the lightning. So you're still using, the other one. You're still using the lightning cable for those. And then you've got the USB-C, which is a newer USB connection that a lot of devices now use. So it's got that one. And then I always forget what this one is called. This one is the older one. I can never remember what it's called though. Whatever this charging one is, kind of like that flat. Like this one is for much older devices. Like my Mi-Fi device has this kind of charging port, but not much else has it anymore. So this one has 4. It's like a 4-in-1 charger. And then you have dual charging like on this side and stuff as well. And this is really, really good. I found that this particular one, because a lot of these don't give my iPhone like a full charge. This yesterday gave my iPhone a full charge and then charge a separate phone as well. So get yourself like things like this, because this is a good investment. You have one of these, you can charge up to 4 things at one time. You're good to go. I also use a lot of the, let me show you the cables, like this one here, same kind of concept. I use these in the car, especially. They're 4-in-1, same ports basically as that one, except this one has 2 lightning cables. So you can get them with different ends. Like now that the USB-C are becoming popular, I always have these on hand everywhere I go. And I can plug it into my computer and charge multiple devices at the same time. So I always have things like this around the place, have them handy, and you're good to go, right? Medication. I keep my little medication in these little things when I travel. These are good too because they're airtight. So, you can stash them in your little travel bag, your handbags really, really easy or whatever. Okay. So that's all she wrote, folks. I got a doctor's appointment. I am heading out of here. I'm going to finish packing up my little suitcase and head to the airport hopefully soon. Yes, honey child, that's a green screen. Some of y'all were fooled thinking I was in a posh Airbnb. No, honey chill. All right, that's it. Lavonna says, bring me one kind of late. I'm coming back today. So that's it. I'm going to pack, head to a few more appointments, head to the airport. And Cayman Airways, I think, was going to do some evacuation flights. We're supposed to be hearing a little bit more about that this morning. As soon as we have that. So DH says that they're sending out messages today to remind people to trim all of their trees, including coconuts on their trees. The one about Bayfield Crescent, that's a planning matter. So we can reach out to planning on your behalf and see what is going on there. So we will ask planning what they're doing about that property, which does pose a danger to everyone. All right, so that's it. Thank you guys so very, very much for tuning in this morning. Again, stay tuned. We'll let you guys know when we go live what's happening. And of course, keep you abreast. Praying for the people of Grenada that hopefully the storm will not do too much damage to their beautiful island. Yeah, it's looking kind of rough, but we'll definitely be keeping you guys in our prayers and thoughts. So Hurricane Beryl, what a doozy. Look at it. Wow. All right, folks, I'll let you guys watch this feed for a little bit, maybe another 5-10 minutes. Damien asking if all the Cayman Airways planes are back in service. They should be. As far as I know, we're all good to go. Good morning, Miss Corsita. So good to see you here this morning as well. All right, everybody, please be safe. Get yourself sorted out.
It has become a bit scary. Yep, it has. It's a lot of, even if you're seeing some rain, there is not much rain. It's just a lot of wind. It reminds me of Hurricane Ivan, of course, where we have not experienced many hurricanes, so that goes without saying. But it's just that it is just things moving everywhere. A lot of, I mean, and unfortunately, I'm not able to share too much with you because at the same time, I do not want to put my life at risk. So we can share with certain limitations, given that we are actively in the middle of a hurricane. So yeah, we can only do so much, okay? But we'll continue to share with you as the day progresses. It is very scary out there, very scary out there. Things are moving everywhere, and that's the best as I can describe it. Things are moving everywhere. Please continue to share, safely share your footage with us. Now we are getting more rain. So now we are seeing more rain coming in. So earlier it was a lot of wind, and yeah, it's coming from the usually the rain and the wind don't go in that direction. We've been here for a couple of years, so you don't get to see the rain coming from that direction. It's coming like it's almost coming from the south. I don't know if I'll be able to drive out of here by the time the storm is over because I'm seeing a lot of fallen trees. There are so many weak trees around. There are so many. Uh, okay, so uh, this is the coconut tree I was showing you earlier. It's 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 holding its own. I don't know how long, but coconut generally are able to withstand intense wind. All right. It's holding its own. I don't know how long, but coconut. Wow, wow. It's interesting that there's no wind close to the coconut tree, but check this out, and the coconut tree is right there. It's like what 100 meters. So I don't even know how that is working. So on one end, there's a lot of wind here, and just 100 meters away, the coconut tree is standing still, meaning that it is almost showing like there is no wind taking place there. The coconut trees. Okay, so I see some people down there, but I see some people heading there. There seems to be a woman in the midst. That's very risky, but maybe they are going to get seek refuge somewhere else. Maybe they are seeking refuge somewhere else, like leaving where they are to just, So probably they are going to seek refuge elsewhere. Again, no activity 100 meters away from where there is all the activity. Look at this. There's a right here that is trying its best. So the top branches of those trees have fallen. So it's almost like how would I say? It's like just bushes. This used to be trees standing. It just looked like a big bush area because parts of the trees have fallen. These are my grafted mango trees and other fruit trees there. Okay, guys, I think it's time for me to go inside. So I would station the camera uh, in a reasonably safe position, and I will have to head inside now. Okay. I don't know what's special about here, but here is very windy. Like I'm zooming in other parts of the neighborhood, and I'm not seeing that level of activity. Let's just take a pan throughout the community and see what's happening. This is the area we were showing you earlier. Okay, so we have lost electricity. We have officially lost electricity and are currently running on battery power. So we would have to strike a balance. Okay, we would have to strike a balance between sharing the information with you, sharing the content with you, and also preserving enough electricity to service my family for the rest of the. We do not know how long it is now. If our solar panels survive, then that will be fine. But the grid is our backup power, so we are now running on our batteries, and we would not want to exhaust our batteries until we are certain that our solar panels are not interrupted by the hurricane. So as a result, we will adjust our broadcasts just a bit. All right, so you can give me some time to so do, but in the meantime, we will still take you back to our studio camera. All right, but I'm just telling you in advance. All right. So as a first step, we have turned off the lights in our studios. But I wanted to say thank you to someone, to a company, Lightworks Power Limited, and they were instrumental in providing us with solid solar power advice when we were building the studio, and specifically for hurricane. And we so far have been able to survive the hurricane, and so I have to give them kudos to that at least, because that was key. Also, service providers I'm talking about right now, Digicel, we created a fail-safe system that is powered by Digicel, and so far our broadband has not been affected, even if others are experiencing that kind of problem. We don't, because we have created a backup for a backup and a backup, and it's working fine. So I'm taking the moment during the storm to say thank you to Lightworks Power Limited for providing us with solid solar advice and installation, and as well Digicel with solid broadband advice and installation, making it possible for us to bring the information to our viewers as we are going through this storm, and persons just really wanting to know what's happening in Grenada. We have so many people abroad who are connected to us, who are connected to Grenada, wanting to know what's going on. And so we are happy that those service providers, they delivered. So thank you for that delivery. We are being affected by a very dangerous hurricane, Beryl. We have felt some intense winds, rain. We have not seen lightning other than this morning. Early this morning, we had some lightning and thunder. But since the storm started, since the hurricane started, we have not had lightning and thunder. Not as yet. Okay? Which is interesting. Things have gotten a little calm for a moment. Very calm for the moment. And so we are happy that people might be able to take a breather. We saw a family moving from one location to the next. So that is good that they were able to do so. So they were able to move quickly, and that's good. The last time we heard, there were about 3,000 persons who have sought shelter at hurricane shelters across the island, including Carriacou and PD Martinique, who's expected to feel the brunt of the storm. We've also had mandatory evacuation for some persons in Carriacou in some areas. We'll be able to share that with you again shortly, because that's important information that we need to share with you, of the mandatory evacuation for persons who are, let me just get the text closer here, Dover, Windward, and Limleh, and that is because of the intensity of the waves there. We have received the update coming from the National Hurricane Center in Miami, Florida, and by the way, you may see me sweating. Again, we had to adjust our studio operations. We have lost electricity, and we are now solely running on battery power. So there's no AC. I might even back off my shirt. Yeah, I might even back off my shirt. In fact, we started this broadcast a couple of years ago with a tank top, as some people would say a vest. So it wouldn't be too strange if I do that now. But anyway, going back to the serious matter, we are hearing now that the system has intensified. Extremely dangerous eye wall of Beryl is moving over Carriacou right now, and life-threatening winds and dangerous storm surges continue to affect the Windward Islands. The maximum sustained winds have increased to 140 miles per hour. The present movement west-northwestward at just about 20 miles per hour. At 11 o'clock, the eye of Hurricane Beryl was located near latitude 12.4 degrees north, longitude 61.3 degrees west. Beryl is moving towards the west-northwest near 20 miles per hour. The eye wall of Beryl is moving across the southern Windward Islands. This is an extremely dangerous and life-threatening situation. take action now to protect your life. Residents in Grenada, the Grenadine Islands, and Carriacou, and the PT Martinique should not leave your shelter, as winds will rapidly increase within the eye wall of Beryl. Remain in place through the passage of the life-threatening conditions and do not venture out in the eye of the storm. Right. So I do not know how we will balance the request for immediate evacuation. I do not know how we would balance that. So the authorities may have to come and say that the request to immediately evacuate from the authorities locally, and the National Hurricane Center, who is saying do not go outside. So I guess there must be some degree of coordination between the local authorities and the people who are asked to evacuate. Maybe they should not evacuate on their own, but ensure that there's enough support so that they can get from point A to point B. What we don't want is for these people to get stuck in the storm. The eye wall is very deceiving, very deceiving. When you get to the eye of the storm, it's worse. It seemed like everything is over, and then the wind comes in the next direction, and that could be catastrophic as well. For the past few hours, the winds have been battering homes, houses, property, everything in one direction, and then you would find that it later on in the storm, it hits it to the other direction and makes it chaotic. All right. So again, we are broadcasting live from Grenada. This is Mikey Live, and I understand that we have some other news agencies who are joining us wherever you are. We say welcome to you. This is basically a live cam and citizen reporting broadcast for today, getting an appreciation for what's happening in the respective areas around the island, just so that we can have an idea. The video in the background, that is coming from an area called Maran in St. John. That's in fact the western side of the island. We have some other footage that we have received so far that we will be able to share with you. And again, we're asking contributors to please place your camera firstly in the landscape mode, then you hit record, and you can say exactly where you are recording the footage from. All right. The footage that you're watching in the background now comes from Fort Wolf. Let's go to some other footage that we have received.
Look at the branches on the ground, so that alone could tell you that the thing's stuck. Yeah? Yeah, Jack and your Beryl break open your place. You get you.
Okay, and we are now hearing that portion of the